Altaer.
What's up, everybody?
What
and
up?
welcome to the Marriage Altaer podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Kadero.
I'm Hope.
I'm Ernestine.
And I'm Don. And we have a mission. And our mission is that we empower individuals through wisdom and experience to help people. You know, I don't have this memorized.
And that's fine.
And that's fine.
I was fighting for it, though. I was fine. I said, you know, we just want to strengthen and people they gonna get better.
They're going to get
Hold
better.
on, but time out. I think that's the beauty of this, right? Like, it's real, it's raw. Like, it's not going to be like...
Real raw.
It's
Yes.
So we going to do this again.
We going to do it again.
So, no,
Stop it.
our mission is very simple. It's to empower individuals through wisdom and experience to grow stronger in relationships and marriage. And that's the whole point of the Marriage podcast.
The whole point. So make sure you guys, if you are new here, to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell button. Make sure you turn on all of your notifications and find us on all of our social media outlets. We're everywhere.
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, everywhere.
Everything.
At the
TikTok.
Marriage Altaer. Yes.
The Marriage
TikTok.
Altaer.
Yes.
Yes. So every Wednesday at noon, don't forget that we will be dropping new episodes. And like we said, they will always be real, raw, and relatable.
That part.
You saw how we did that? We
Yeah,
in
y'all in sync.
We are one.
Oh.
Little
We
Maze
are
and Frankie Beverly.
Okay, y'all. So I have an idea.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Ernestine,
Okay,
come
with the ideas.
Thank you. I think that before we share our marriage stories, that we should each share one memorable moment from our relationships.
Ooh.
Ooh, okay.
Who gonna start that off?
Y'all know
I do it. You going?
No. I was about to say, y'all know I need time to process. I'm always processing.
Come on, the process.
Me too.
All right. This is
How
my
you gonna process this
memorable
with your
moment.
idea?
I would say this is memorable, slightly embarrassing.
Okay.
Okay.
Did y'all?
All in one.
Did you get approval for this first?
Yeah.
Oh,
She
you
know-
did?
she
But
know
her
about
face,
this.
though.
Once I start,
I'm getting nervous.
No, once I start talking about shit, know it. So, we actually all been to this place, a great steakhouse, Mahogany's.
Oh.
Okay.
Yes.
But now, when we first went to Mahogany's for the very first time, this was the one in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
And so I had been there. I worked in college athletics, and a group of coaches, so they balling. They took
Ballin'.
me as a GA, and they're like, "Oh, get whatever you want." At that time, I had this trio, and it was like steak, lobster, and crab legs, and I'm like, I crushed it. So I was like, I went back to Hope, was like, "Yo, this place, it's the real deal. We need to go back, and I'm gonna take you there for our first anniversary."
Okay.
Yep. Got
First
excited.
anniversary came around. I got excited.
Yeah.
Gotta remember, I was only making like $1,000 a month.
Okay.
Okay.
Rent was $602.
Okay.
So
And
$400 left.
You
for a
did
month.
have your job by that time, so it was a little something, but not much coming in.
Little cushion.
Little. Very little.
So I'm like, I'm just trying to wine and dine my wife for our first anniversary. So the way to come up, he asked, giving us all the specials, and she like asked what we wanted to order, and Hope orders her normal like New York strip. So
Yeah.
they like $68 type steaks there,
Okay.
and then we ordered sides. So I was like, she asked what I wanted, and I was like, I want that trio again.
Oh, you
Yeah. I
You
was
feeling
like,
yourself.
I'm feeling
Feeling
myself.
himself.
And Hope, no, she said, wait a minute now. She said, excuse me, how much is that?
That's me.
Wait, yeah. No. You
Say.
skipping parts because you ordered it, right? The waitress walked away at that point, and I said, Kadero, how much is that trio? He was like, oh, I don't know.
But it's our day.
Hey,
It's our
yeah.
day.
You saw his swag?
Yeah.
Well, his swagger through her. She was like,
Yeah, it don't matter,
I
right?
don't know. It don't matter.
So I said, waitress, run that back. So the waitress came back. The waitress came back, and we asked.
And it was $140.
For just the trio
Just the trio.
on a $1,000 salary.
I said, Kadero, if you don't order something else. I said, what'd I say?
You ain't got to prove
We
nothing
married
to me.
already. You ain't got to prove nothing to me.
She said, you ain't got to prove
I
nothing
know
to
what our
me.
finances look like. So, I don't know
Show a
who
little
you
bit
trying
of
to.
stewardship and wisdom.
Yeah.
But it was like,
So he got a steak.
yeah, I got
and
the
not
regular
trio.
little steak,
We shared a mac and cheese.
and
And
fries.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. But it was
Wow.
just like, I always remember that moment. Like,
Yeah, I
just
don't know
first
why he did
anniversary, like, that, like, marital bliss in that moment. But a little, like, trying to feel myself knowing
Yeah.
I did not have the money
Did
to
not
be
have
trying
the
to
money.
spend
We've had many-
$500.
We've had
Right.
many conversations like that. I'm like,
Right.
That's his brother over here.
Yeah, no, that is me.
Be like, give me the
least you
trio
get a meal.
and the.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
the guy
I'm
that's
like, and we on a
I'm
budget.
Right.
listen, but that's why he had me marry her.
That's it. Same.
I'm a risk taker.
Well,
I'm a risk taker. My wife is gonna be calculated. She's gonna be like, okay, so like, and here's the thing, and I don't know if wives everywhere do this, but my wife is gonna give me the nice little leg
on the
tap
neck.
underneath the table. And
I do that
little
tap.
tap
Like,
can mean
that
so
little
many
tap.
different things.
Right.
I could be talking, and if she feels like, okay, he about to overindulge in what he about to say,
Dial it
I'll
back.
get that little.
Dial it back, babe.
Okay, but yeah, no, man, I've definitely done that where I spent money just eating appetizers and ooh, I
All
want that.
courses.
All course.
Prime
We're
example.
gonna
Prime
make
example.
this
The
a
other day we
5-course
went
meal.
out to eat on Sunday, and I ordered a fish plate, and it came with 2 fillets, and I was like, that ain't enough. I want a
Not the
third
2
fillet.
Oh, a third.
Add a third fillet, and
Oh,
then I
wait,
didn't
wait,
even
wait.
eat
I was
it.
gonna say, ask him, did he eat it?
I didn't even eat it.
Come
He
on
didn't
now.
even
Where
eat
the
it.
fish at now?
He left it at the
fish at?
restaurant.
I left. I didn't even
He
take
didn't even
it.
take it.
Take it home.
Yeah,
Really?
it's bad. I'm so sorry, Lord.
I'm so sorry, Lord.
Sorry, Lord.
Yeah.
Just be ordering stuff.
Just
Lord.
I be hungry. I do order with my stomach, not my eyes.
Yeah.
Well, no, I order with both.
both of them.
Both of them.
Okay, who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Okay.
This one is along the same. This is embarrassing and
Oh Lord.
well, I say it's embarrassing.
For who?
Both of us probably.
Oh Lord.
Embarrassing, funny, and yeah.
Okay.
So I did not talk to her, by the way, before I decided to come up with the story. So dum. So it's the year 2007. We are not married yet, and I love the Lord at the time.
Oh, I knew he was gonna share this.
I love the Lord at the time. However, still a little wild child,
Okay.
and so
24.
I was 24 years old, and my sister, I was in Fort Worth. Ernestine lived in Fort Worth at the time. This was before we married. And I was there visiting my sister's birthday. And she said, I said, I'll bring the alcohol. I was talking to my sister. And she was like, okay, cool. I was like, oh, I was just playing, but I'm down. So mind you, I buy a bunch of Smirnoffs. I buy Hypnotic, like all these
All of the hypnotic.
vodka, all of
Oh,
it,
yeah.
rum, all of it.
Yeah.
Well,
Get that
I'm at the party, and I'm drinking everything.
Everything.
Like I'm mixing everything.
Everything.
I'm drinking Smirnoff as chasers. I'm drinking, and I'm talking about the tall styrofoam cups.
The tall
And,
one.
Yeah, it was. I don't know where my head was, but I remember vividly. I had to go to the restroom. And I went to my sister's restroom.
Wait,
and
before you went to the restaurant, I know this is his story, but before you went to the restroom, you were in the kitchen.
I was in the kitchen. I was gonna use the restroom in the kitchen.
Yes.
And mind you, my mind is just, I'm gone. I'm gone. And so I'm unbuckling my pants to use the restroom in her kitchen. And I don't know how I got to the bathroom. Went to the bathroom and I sat on the
We ushered
toilet.
you
Not
to
to
the
use the bathroom. I just sat down on the toilet. Because I was just like, ugh, like feeling it. Apparently I was in there for a long time. I had no idea how long I was in there. It felt like a short time. Well, and I'm giving you information not based only on how I remember, but also what was told to me.
Yes.
So, you know,
We told him.
if you've ever drank before, crazy, I'm telling this story, but you ever drank before or overdrank, your mouth starts getting real watery. And so I started spitting on her floor in the bathroom.
So she runs to the kitchen, grabs a trash bag as fast as she could, and puts it over his head.
She's like, get him out of here. So she puts the trash bag over my head. Now, I'm not really in tune with what's going on. So I thought I went blind. I really thought I was like, I can't see. Like, I thought, I was like, oh my God, I'm blind.
I can't.
So here's the embarrassing part. So I get in Ernestine's car, which Ernestine does not do.
Well, because of this, I don't.
Yeah, because of this incident. So she puts me in her car, is gonna take me home, but she has to take my cousin home too. So I'm in the back seat, and I throw up all in her back seat like 3 times, like different times, just grown man strong throw up. And yeah, and it was pretty bad. Now, kind of funny, not funny, embarrassing. But the biggest thing is, tying it back to the altar is that is when I knew
This the one.
I gotta marry this girl.
Because she endured the manly
I
throw up.
mean,
I took care of him.
she took care of me the whole week. I think I borderline had alcohol poisoning.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I don't know if that should have been the story,
So
but
y'all
we gonna be real, we gonna be raw, and we gonna be relatable.
And we're going to thank God for change.
And we thank God for change.
Listen, and to this day, I cannot
She can't do it.
Like if my kids
Yeah.
get sick, I'm like, if he's not home, I will call
She'll
him
call
like,
me to
hey,
come
they're
home.
getting sick. How far are you? I have thrown away whole rugs. I've thrown away blankets.
She won't even wash it.
Throw the whole house away.
Bro, the whole house away.
And it's because of him. But I am thankful for change. I'm thankful
Yes.
for change.
We
God
thank
is
the Lord.
good.
Yeah.
God is good.
That
That
good.
is hilarious.
So that's my story.
Oh my God.
That is a memorable moment. Yes.
That is a memorable
It's
moment.
the I'm blind.
I really thought I was blind.
He
bro.
did. He did.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. And you left out a part of the story, but we won't bring it up about you in the middle of the street, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, we don't have to tell that part.
It's
Just
funny,
know
though.
that
But
As
you know,
as your friends, we know that part already.
yeah,
That's the beauty
yeah.
of it. We know you was trying to use too pretty. You pretty.
Pretty Ricky was
Oh
oh,
gosh,
Yes.
hilarious.
Do you want to go next or?
Do you have one on deck? Are you ready?
I have one on deck.
Okay, you can go ahead.
So mine is a little more sentimental. Yes.
I don't
Cue
know.
the music whenever we edit this. Cue the music. So, like he said, we were long distance. So he lived in San Antonio. I was living in Fort Worth. And I had called him. This was like at the beginning of us talking. We were really getting to know each other, talking all the time. And I called him. I was like, telling him some bad news that I had gotten. And that was in the morning. So then I went to work. And when I got off of work, I call him and we're talking. He's just checking on me, seeing how I'm doing. And then I get out my car, pull up in my apartment, get out my car, and he's standing there. He drove 4.5 hours to be with me.
I did.
Give it up for Don.
I did. My brother.
And
That
that's
is a
when
G
he
move
first
right there.
started stealing my heart.
Oh,
I remember that. Can I give some? Can I add to that?
Yeah.
Like, not
Probably
add
parts
to
I
it.
didn't know.
No, not just my vantage, right? So I remember she had called me and she was extremely discouraged, and I just remember my heart just felt so like that's naturally who I am. Like I really do love and care for people. And when she called me and told me the news, I'm literally laying on my couch in San Antonio, 4 hours away, and she tells me the news, and there was parts of it that made her believe that I didn't really want to be with her because of the news. And I was just like, oh, that sucks. And we talked and she said, well, I got to go to work. I was like, okay. And because I am very, again, I didn't calculate nothing, gas money, nothing. I was just like, we just going to, I said, you know what?
We ride it on.
I said,
Right.
it would be nice if I just popped up on her. I said, I'll get there before she gets off. My mom is there. I can just go hang out at my mom's house.
yeah.
And that's what I did. And I remember jumping up off the couch, packed up a little small bag, jumped in my car, put gas in it, and drove. And I remember seeing her pull in to her thing, her getting out of her car and talking. And I was like, yeah, about to blow her socks off.
He did good.
And here we are,
Yeah.
16 years later, and that's
That
a
part.
memorable story for her.
That
Come
part.
on, I did
Come on.
good.
That part.
Celebrate me.
Celebrate me. Something I don't want to clap anymore.
You did good, son. Sometimes you just gotta just encourage yourself.
He said, celebrate
Pat
me.
on your
Good
back.
job, son.
Oh gosh. Okay, I guess I'll go. I feel like I always tell this story, but it's because it's really memorable for me. And it seems simple, but so Kadero and I were married, first year married, yeah. And I had told him like I had never had s'mores before, and it was like something that like I know, but listen, it gets a
And
little
you're like
better.
how old at this point? This is
22,
24? The first year married?
Yeah,
Never had
details
s'mores.
don't matter. Yeah, well, whatever. So I told him I never had s'mores before, and I think what meant the most is that he kept that and put it in his memory bank, right?
Okay.
Okay, so he's putting the things in his memory. He's actually listening while I'm talking. I'm like, okay, we're starting off good. And I think it was like a week or two later, something like that, and it was just like a tough day. And Kadero was like, we have a date. At this point, y'all know we make $1,000 a month.
Yes.
We was truly, I was not working, I don't think at that point. So things was very tight. So he was like, well, I have a date planned or whatever. He was like, just follow me. So I'm thinking, okay, we about to go somewhere. We don't, but it was the setup. So the way that our apartment was set up was we had like from one bedroom you could go out to a balcony, and we went out and he had like the balcony had like all these like Christmas lights, which is my favorite.
Come on.
Like all these Christmas lights. He had like a little fire pit. We made s'mores. And I was like, oh my God, I literally cried. And I was like, why am I crying? Like, it's s'mores, Hope. Get yourself together. But I think it was the thought that was put into it.
That's
and I was
the
like,
part.
okay, he made it all pretty. Like, we had pillows out. Like, it was just s'mores. And it was just so good. And
Come
I was
on,
like,
give me some more.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Give me some more.
It was just so
We
sweet.
made s'mores. It was the grill.
Yes, the grill. Oh, sorry. Whoa, got excited. It was the grill. We went over like this little grill we had, and we were just out there on the balcony with the lights and just made s'mores. And I was
Come on,
like,
Kadero.
this is
Air
so
high
special.
five.
I'll be a part of that.
Oh, I missed it. So,
One more time for Ernestine.
Okay.
but like you said, it was the thought that counted.
That thought.
That's the thing that kind of concerns me about the world now. Like, it's not the thought that counts. It's all about how much money the man
Was
is spending
spent.
on the
Yes.
first date and doing all this and that. I remember our first date just going to Baja Fresh. It was the thought. It meant
Yeah.
so much, and it was just a chain of restaurants.
Right.
It wasn't anything grand, but it was just the
Yeah.
time,
I think you just realize how much you're not. It's like, I don't know. I can't speak for every man, but I think for me and a lot of other people, I just wanted her to be happy. Like, I wanted to create a moment. And like, like, I mean, at 24 years old, I'm not thinking, let's go to the grandest steakhouse in
Right.
town. I'm just like, I'm
Right.
gonna take you on a date and I'm gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's a big deal, right?
Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pay for it.
and Baja was my favorite.
And that was one of her favorite places,
Yeah.
Baja Fresh.
Yeah.
I don't know if that place still exists or not.
I don't
but
know. I was so sad.
She loved Baja
when-
Fresh,
when it
and I
went.
remember I was like, I do not care to eat at this place.
Yeah.
But
It made her happy.
this
Yes.
is what she
Made
like.
her happy.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. I love
That's
that.
beautiful.
Yes, yes,
Good
yes.
job, everybody.
Good job.
Yeah,
Good
I love
job.
it. I love it. Okay, so let's get into our marriage stories.
Okay.
Yes.
Y'all want to go first? You want us to go first?
So let's tell the people
Oh.
that. So if you watched the episode from last week, then you know that we started off just foundationally just telling our stories up until the point of getting married, and it was not planned to come back into it this week. But in the episode last week, we had decided that we were going to continue on because it was just so much to unpack and so many things to cover. So we kind of changed things up to continue off of last week's episode. And so,
so
just
y'all
to
can
kind
get
of
to
catch
know
you
us
guys
better
up.
too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We want y'all to get to know us. So, yeah.
Speaking of getting to know us, I realized that I left something out of my story. So I guess we can go first if y'all don't mind.
Let's go.
No,
Out of our marriage story. Okay. So I didn't know if you was like, had it in your
Girl,
heart.
you know me. I'm still preparing over here.
I'm praying and processing.
So for those who haven't had a chance to see the last episode, I talked about how I dealt with abandonment because of my parents getting divorced, had low self-esteem, low self-worth, and dealt with rejection, all that kind of stuff. And one of the things I realized that I believe the Holy Spirit brought to me this morning is I forgot to mention that I was molested as a little girl. And I don't know why that didn't come to me when we were talking last week, but I was actually molested by other girls. It was more than one girl. And so it really caused me to go through this stage of like identity. Like I didn't know who I was, and I was trying to figure out who I was, and then I also got to the point to where I was like an active and willing participant in it. So it started out molestation, then I became an active and willing participant. And then as a little kid, I started suggesting to other kids, like in the neighborhood or something, that we do what the other little kids did. And I feel like God brought that to me because I feel like there's somebody who's watching who has been holding that over their head, holding themselves captive because of what they did, feeling guilty, feeling shame, and not forgiving themselves. And so I just encourage you, if that is you watching right now, that you forgive yourself for that you let yourself go, and God is forgiving you. Walk in that forgiveness, go to therapy, do what you need to do. It's actually common for kids after experiencing molestation to, suggest it to other kids. It's very, very common. I'm not saying that it's okay, but I'm saying it's common. So release yourself, let yourself go. So now we fast forward, like I said last time, and I'm dating guys and ignoring all the red flags. And then I get to you. And get to you, and I wanted someone to affirm me, and I was wanting you to affirm me, and not really understanding that my value and self-worth didn't come from whether or not you affirm me. it came from God, you know. Yeah. But nevertheless, I was still looking for it from you, and so we move forward, and we don't go to much premarital counseling. I think we went to
one session.
Yeah, and in the words of my daughter, it wasn't giving.
It wasn't giving.
It was not giving.
It wasn't giving. I was not equipped and prepared to be married. Now, I know that there are things that are going to happen in marriage that you're not prepared for, but we had no foundation going into it.
No.
And so we didn't know how to be married. I remember you used to always say, you know, Ernestine was ready to be a wife, because you realized, like, right before we got married that you weren't ready. Mm-hmm. And you were like, but Ernestine was ready. And I realized now, looking back, I wasn't ready. I was just used to being a single mom for 4 years. I was used to taking care of a home. So I actually didn't know what it meant to be a wife and what it meant to be married. Mm-hmm. And so get to San Antonio, and our relationship immediately, there's this immediate shift. We went from being like these best friends, super close, you know, and all of a sudden we weren't. And I noticed this distance between us. And so I became inch eye, private eye.
Yes, you did.
I started investigating. I had it down to a science. I did. And that's when I noticed, like, conversations between him and other women. And the way I translated that was, I'm not enough. You know, all the stuff that happened before that showed me I wasn't enough. And this is also telling me that I'm not enough. I didn't know that I was fearfully and wonderfully made. Now, it says in Psalm chapter 139, verse 14, I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And I used to edit that verse because I didn't know what fearfully meant. I was like, that don't make sense. So I would I remember one time I posted online, I'm beautifully and wonderfully made. And our pastor was in the comments like, it's not beautifully.
Corrector, dog. Right. Corrector, sir.
It's fearfully. And I've actually seen other people edit the verse because they didn't know what fearfully meant. So I want to tell people what fearfully means. Fearfully, when translated from Hebrew, means with great reverence, to stand in awe, to be awed, heartfelt interest, and with respect. So when God created you, when God created me, we were to be awed. And then wonderfully, when translated, means unique and set apart. So to be awed, unique and set apart, I didn't have that in my heart. And I didn't understand that no matter what happened here, I was still to be awed. Yep. I was still unique, and I was still set apart. Yeah. So I will explain, because I know somebody's watching and they said, wait a minute, rewind. I know I just heard her say that he was talking to people. Why did she stay? Did she not value herself? And I'll tell you why I didn't stay later. I'll let you kind of pick up from there and tell your part of the story.
Yeah. So when you were talking just now, were y'all together or like
which part?
Married?
We were married.
Text.
Yeah.
We were married.
Yeah,
okay.
We were married.
Okay.
We were
Gotcha.
newly married.
Yeah, it was very, very early on when I noticed a shift when I became inch-eye, private eye.
Gotcha.
That's such a funny thing. First let me say thank you for sharing that. You just being vulnerable and choosing to like we say, be raw, real, and relatable. Because that's not easy. I can't imagine that you having to tell this story and even face potential ridicule about making a decision that some people say that was dumb. Why would you do that? Why would you devalue yourself by staying with this man, this janky man who couldn't?
Not janky.
I'm like, listen, there's nothing you could say about me that I didn't already say about myself through this process.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, just thank you for being open and honest. And I know that can be weird being the guy who caused you to feel that way. But I'm happy that we're here now. You know what I'm saying? And so anyway, thank you for sharing. So I guess let's talk about how I ended up becoming that guy. And so I think in the last episode I mentioned just my childhood and being upset about some circumstances that happened, watching my mother get abused. And after that, I became real rebellious and was just running in the streets and just I would say being a kid without guidance. My father was a good father, but he wasn't very present because back in the 90s, there was no FaceTime, there was no cell phones, there was no text messages, we weren't emailing it, like we didn't have that. It was just long distance calls, and if you weren't making a lot of money, long distance was expensive. Yes. And so you didn't do that much. And so my dad wasn't present, but he was a good father. My dad was my hero, so I want to be clear about that. He wasn't an absentee father. He just lived in a different city. Yeah. Anyway, so because of that, though, I'm learning all these things. I'm also I'm coming into the age of curiosity with girls, which I've been interested in girls, but it's becoming more and more advanced and doing and getting involved into so many things just in middle school that I wasn't supposed to be a part of. And then pornography is introduced to me, and all of these perverted thoughts and things that I don't know what to do with. And I'm not in church, so no one's telling me. I'm not getting any guidance. I'm not nothing.
Yeah.
And I remember all those things happened. Then moving to San Antonio, then having a guy who's supposed to be kind of like a brother figure take advantage of that. And that turned into a sexual relationship that wasn't supposed to be. And that causes me now to be all of these feelings now. Leading up, 24 years old, I get married and I'm not healed from none of that stuff. Because I'm thinking, oh, you get married, that stuff goes away.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, yeah, like, hey, like I'm married now. I can do everything I was doing now is just legal.
Yeah.
And I'm good.
It's just like,
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it was insecurity. A lot of it was not knowing my worth, not knowing who I was as a son of God, as a child of God, as a follower of Christ. I had no idea, though I was in church.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Just because you're in church, that doesn't mean anything. I have done plenty of dirt, and I know people who have done plenty of dirt in church. And it's because just because you attend the building doesn't mean that the temple within you is clean.
Right.
Doesn't mean that you know who you are. Doesn't mean that you have guidance. Doesn't mean that you have an actual relationship with Jesus. Church, going to church every weekend, number one, because we were forced to, does not equate to a relationship. And I just remember, I don't know if I was consciously thinking this, but there was just something in me that felt like she wasn't enough. Like, well, there's things I like. And then here it is, I'm having these experiences, or I've had these experiences, and I would go with my wife and those experiences weren't the same. Oh, well, oh man, like, and then, you know, the toxic the thought that men have is like, well, men have needs. We have needs. You know what I mean? And which, yes, that's true, but it leads to so much foolishness. But anyway, I just remember thinking to myself, like, man, I don't want to be this way. Like there wasn't times where I was just like, yeah, I'm just finna like, I just felt like I was missing something. And then I felt really like, and I mean, I just fell for a lot of the traps of the enemy. Like there were certain things that would just happen that was just clearly the enemy setting me up. And I just fell for it just like a dummy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I remember a young lady whom I was involved with very briefly before me and Ernestine met. And we lost touch. And I remember after being married, I don't know however many years, I remember she just popped back up in my head randomly after years. And I remember telling Ernestine, I was like, man, I just had this thought, this young lady I was involved with, blah, blah, blah. She just, I don't know why. And I told her kind of story how I have no idea. It just popped in my head. So I'm sharing it with Ernestine. And mind you, it's been years. Never talked to this, never knew where she went. No phone number, no social media. Just, I'm like, I couldn't even remember her name. And I remember a week later, that girl reached out to me on Facebook. Now I know that's a setup. Be careful.
Yeah.
But I was like, man. So now I'm like, she hits me up. Hey, how you doing? I've been looking for you. I'm like, yo, what's up? Like, I was just thinking about you last week. You know what I mean? Like, and that turned into a relationship. Like, and not only was I married, she was married.
Oh, wow.
So now we're both out here in a whole little relationship.
Yeah.
And I remember that we for real raw and relatable, boy.
Yeah, we are.
But this is where we at. Come on,
Yeah,
guys.
we
You gonna
here
heal
now.
somebody. Somebody gonna get delivered today. Because I was definitely in sin and just tripping. But going back to that story is I remember we was just so reckless that her husband found out. And her husband actually just trying to find out. I know somebody's in the picture, but it finds out who I was, but messages Ernestine. And messages her and says, hey, this is what's going on. And I think he was just like, just tell your husband to stop talking to my wife. It was something like that. And I remember she messaged me about it. She asked me, she sent me a text. And boy, let me tell you something about fear and anxiety. She sent me a text and said, who is such and such, and said her name. I was like, oh, shoot. So now I'm like, and then I don't have no details of like what exactly
What she knows already.
what she knows.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just sitting there just like anxiety, like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Now this is when you feel like, man, I'm so stupid. You
Yeah.
know, like now you want to
Yeah.
beat yourself up.
Yeah.
And I remember I told her, hey, like, we can't talk.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. This is done. Like, no. Like, I'm not finna be cut it off. Me and her resolve it. And I say resolve is just I lied and basically said, oh, it wasn't nothing. Like, yeah, we've been talking. She was feeling me back in the day.
Yeah.
Yada yada. But I didn't tell her that we was literally seeing each other. And then start talking to her again.
So we didn't learn the first.
No, we didn't. Oh no. No, I spent a lot of time not learning lessons the first time.
Yeah.
But also that lifestyle came with a lot of condemnation. Like it wasn't like I was just out here just living it up,
Yeah.
even though kind of I was.
Yeah.
But I dealt with
felt
that too.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was not a man of God. Though that's what I did in church every week. I was a musician in church.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I felt worthless. I didn't feel like I deserved her, which I didn't. I felt very just afraid and scared. I felt like this was just gonna be my life. Like a lot of times, a lot of guys are out here living these double lifestyles, and they really, in the heart of their hearts,
Yeah.
they don't really want to.
Yeah.
But that's what addiction is. See, my addiction looks different than someone else's, but it's still an addiction for me.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say, and she knows this, and I've said this, women were my addiction. Like, I love the anatomy of it. Like, that was, some people, it was alcohol.
Right.
Can't stop. I can't put that bottle down. I don't want to. Oh, I'm fighting. I'm like, oh my God, I can't drink. I can't drink. I can't drink. But you're tempted by it. And everything is telling you should drink. And okay, maybe just drink a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, just do it one more time.
Yeah.
For me, it wasn't alcohol. I was never addicted to alcohol, even though I had a crazy story we shared earlier.
Yeah.
I wasn't addicted to
Yeah.
it. I wasn't addicted to drugs, though I did it. I wasn't addicted. My vice, my thorn was the opposite sex.
Yeah.
Some of that, I believe, was rooted in trying to prove something that I wasn't, which stems from my relationship that I had with my mentor at the time back in the day. So now I'm trying to prove, like, also, and then the more they feed into your ego, women like, boy, you did that. I'm like, oh yeah, so I want to do it with somebody else now, and make them feel that way.
Yeah.
And I have a whole wife at home that we're not, and the thing is, and I think it's okay to share this, but there was a lot of times me and her wouldn't even happen sex.
Yeah.
Because I was getting it outside
Somewhere else.
else.
Yeah.
Now let me ask this question. So, okay, I know you mentioned earlier, like sometimes you may have felt like she wasn't enough or something like that. Like, what was that turning point for you of, like, how did you get to now feeling like she is enough?
Yeah. I'm going to start with the most, I say cliche because it's really not cliche. We just made it cliche. It's really the power of God. Like, and I'll explain that, but like, that is not just it's just the power of God. You know, 'cause we say that so
what
many,
does that look
we say
like?
it so loosely,
Yeah.
but like, it really is, because there are so many times I wanted to get divorced.
Me too.
There are so many times where I was like, say, you can have everything. I won't.
Yeah.
I'll make it easy for you. I'll start over from scratch. You can have the car. I'll move out. You can have it all. I just don't want to be married no more. And just don't have nobody in here crazy raising my kids, because I will hurt them.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But I say the power of God is He used so many different little circumstances and situations to include her patience. Now I know that some people are gonna be like, baby, I couldn't do it. I'd be gone. And you would be,
I'll explain why I wasn't. But go ahead.
and you would be well within your right.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To
Yeah.
leave. I am not saying, nor will I ever say, well, yeah, she should have stayed. I'm grateful she stayed. See, it's about an awareness of and a gratefulness of the graciousness of God.
Yeah.
Like, God allowed her to stay. It wasn't she had to stay because we had to be together. No, she could have changed. She could have done anything else. But because of circumstances and her own patience and God speaking to her to be patient with me and to understand. And again, I'm saying this being the offender. It's hard for me to say that, but that's what it was. And the power of God allowing me to, like, changing my heart.
Yeah.
Allowing my desires and my heart to change. Because again, even in the face of getting caught, I still wasn't really changing.
Yeah.
But God showed me. He showed me something one day. Here's the crazy thing about this is crazy.
Take your time.
I'm just so many thoughts. Like,
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine who was also, now here's the other thing. I was not surrounded by the best people,
Friends, yeah.
the best people to kind of hold me accountable.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, I had other friends who would cheat on their wives. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and I remember God, because of who he called me to be, he loved me so much that he did not allow my stupidity and my failures and shortcomings and intentional dumb mistakes to cause the gift that he has put on my life to be lifted. Meaning, though I was acting a fool, my friends would act fools and their wives would catch them and they would come to me for advice. And I'd be like, bruh.
It's like, how do I tell them?
But because I had never
He was giving them advice.
Right.
But here's the thing. I would never shy away from being that part of who I knew I was.
Yeah.
Even though I knew I was in some crazy mess, I was still, and I remember I told a friend of mine this, and it pierced my own heart. I said, bro, because his wife called him again, and this was like the second or third time, and he was crying on the phone with me, just like, bro, I don't want to lose my family, da-da-da-da. And I'm thinking like, bro, I got a chick on the side. Like, I don't know what I'm about to tell you. But I said, let me tell you this, bro. I said, you have to understand that this attack is not just about you or your wife. I said, it's about your kids. I said, what you allow to remain, I said, you empower to grow. I said, so you let that spirit of lust to come into your home. I said, it's not just out there to get you. It's out to get everything that comes after you. I said, so what you have to understand is you have opened and allowed the door to be open to access your children. I said, so now you can't be surprised if your kids grow up and have the same issues. Now I'm telling him this with the same issue he's having.
Right.
God used you in that moment for
God
yourself.
used me a lot of times to minister to myself.
Yeah.
And again, I would never encourage, hey, no, you need to stay with that man. Like, you never know. I've told people, like, you might need to make a decision.
Yeah.
And I would not be mad if people were telling her that about me because I understood it. But again, for me, it was a struggle. I wasn't happily cheating.
Yeah.
I had to deal with that.
Yeah.
I was depressed a lot of times. I was discouraged a lot of times. I said it last week in the last episode. I would find myself in stalls at the bathroom stall at work crying because I was so angry with myself, but I couldn't understand why I couldn't just act right. I couldn't get right.
Unhealed.
Yeah, God allowed me to be connected to certain individuals like Kevin Duhart, who's a pastor in San Antonio, the Rock Church, and he had me go through inner healing, and he made me go name by name, list off the people who I had inappropriate relationships with, even before my wife, like just in history, and really confess all of the sins and the things that I had touched and allowed to come into my life that was not like God, and break covenant because. And these are other things too that God has used to kind of help me heal and to come out of this and to be more open and vulnerable with her. It was that he said that your insecurity is what you listen to. And if that's what you listen to, you're not listening to me. So what happens is that insecurity just became your God. That insecurity you are now involved in idol worship.
Yeah.
Because you give your obedience and your allegiance to that.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember he told me that one day and I was like, dang.
Yeah.
Like I worship idols, like, and I was like, because when I first heard it, it was like you worship idols. I was like, okay, for real, I don't worship.
Right.
Like that's the best you can come up
because
with.
Because our natural thought is graven images, or money,
little figurines, or
little figurines.
Nah, but he said you give your obedience to this thing.
Wow.
When it says you're not good enough, you believe it, and then you act according to what you come into agreement with.
Yeah.
And agreement is covenant.
Yeah.
So when you come into agreement with a spirit or you come into agreement with something that's not like God, you are entering into a covenant agreement with it, which means it now has the right to occupy your space. It's the same thing with marriage. When I married her, she has a legal right and access to everything I own because we're married. Right. And if I don't want that anymore, we have to get a divorce, right?
Yeah.
But I can't just kick her out the house. Like, hey, I don't want to be married to her no more.
Yeah.
Like, it don't work that way. She
Right.
still has a right to everything I own.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with spirits. When you come into an agreement with those things, they now have a right to occupy your space. And guess what they do? Just like a spouse can. When you marry a spouse, they come with baggage.
Yeah.
And that baggage now becomes your baggage. It's the same thing with the spirit. So now I'm wondering, why am I so oppressed all the time? Why am I so sad and depressed all the time? Why? I mean, the only thing I can think about is doing wrong when I know I want to do right.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? It's because I have
you
all
open the
these
door.
covenants out here
Yeah.
Yeah.
floating around. And so, going back to answering your question,
Bring it back around.
it was truly the grace of God
Yeah.
that he allowed us to stay and to work it out and to speak to her and to speak to me and
Yes.
people giving us words.
Yeah, like the
Let's hear.
right
from
so
you.
It happened a couple times. So
Uh-huh.
honestly, at first I didn't leave because I couldn't afford to. And I was too embarrassed to tell my family about what was going on. So I couldn't be
Yeah.
like, hey, y'all help me get back home. So it was that. And,
That's
you know,
a real answer. I appreciate you saying that. Because a
that's-
lot of
that's
people won't admit that. Like,
Yeah, that's
I
what it
need
was.
financial security right now. Like,
right,
that's why I'm here.
I can't go yet. Right.
Yeah.
So then once I kind of was starting to feel more like, okay, you know what? I can go now. I got a job now. Because, I stayed home with my middle son for a while. I was like, I'm good now. I think
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. We went to a church service. And when he said he wanted to get divorced, I did too. So he would be him one day saying, let's get divorced. It'd be me the next week, then him the next month, then me. We just
Take
went back and
turns.
forth.
Yeah.
We went to church service and a guest preacher called us down to the altar. He said,
Not the altar.
yeah.
Oh,
Meet
you
us.
saw what you did right there.
Listen, meet us
say
at the altar. Altaer. Okay? So he told us to meet him at the altar or whatever. So we went on down there and he was like, God is saying, stop it. He said, one day you want to get a divorce. Then it's you. Then it's you. Then it's you. God says, stop it. You are supposed to be together. And even after that prophetic word, I was like, God, you sure?
And this is a guy that did not know
He did not
you
know
guys.
us. He didn't know. Well,
He knew us, but he did not
Know
know
what's
our
going on.
Yeah,
Right.
no.
Yeah. Yeah.
so I was like, okay. So we stayed together after that. And then like I said, I started questioning God.
Yeah.
So some years passed and my mom came into town. I'm like, Mom, you have to meet my neighbor. Shout out to Brittany. She was completely awesome, Mom. She always helps with the kids. She helps with getting them to school, whatever it is that we need help with, she's there for us. I'm like, Mom, you got to meet her. So I'm a kind of person where I don't like people dropping in my house without telling me, but I did that to her. I rang the doorbell and she was like, oh, hi. She said, I have somebody here from church, but you can come on in. Go in and it's an older lady. I think it's relevant to say she was an older white lady, like that she just didn't know us at all.
Never met her.
Never. So we go in and she looks at me, she says, you're not here by accident, right? Mind you, the night before I had talked to God, I said, God, I'm going to divorce him. And this time I'm like actually going to do it. Like I'm ready. I'm going to go. She says, don't divorce your husband. He treats you the way that he does because he was abused as a child, but God is going to heal his heart. God wants you to see him the way that he does. Mind you, my mama didn't know anything about nothing. So I know she was probably like,
What you talking about?
so I didn't have the lady.
I understand.
Honestly.
She sound like Martin's mama. Remember Florine?
I love it.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, so I didn't ask the lady to elaborate or anything because mama was
Just shut it
saying
right there, lady. You know.
That's
you want
enough.
it. But
But however, going forward, God constantly reminded me of those things. And so, or of what she said. And so when I left the house, he was sitting in our garage, like working on my son's bike. And I saw him for the first time the way that God did. I saw a little boy fixing my son's bike. I saw it in that moment. And I was just like, wow. And so God will remind me of that. I'm going to heal his heart. I'm going to heal his heart. Hold on. I'm going to heal his heart. I'm going to heal
And
his
mind you,
heart.
she didn't at that time. She didn't share that with me, so I had no idea until years
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, I told him years later.
Yeah, I had no idea, but it was true. I was just a little boy searching. I had no one. Again, all these instances throughout my life where I felt like people who were supposed to be there to protect me were not.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was out here just by myself and alone.
Right. And he was pushing me away for fear that I was going to hurt him too, as he was hurting me.
Ooh.
Hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
Yes.
It's true.
That's
It is really true.
statement.
But I don't regret it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I don't regret it because there is a lot of beauty that's come from our ashes.
Yeah,
Like, we are completely different people.
we are.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to say this as well, like, because I don't want people to feel like, oh, okay, well, you did all this dirt and there was no repercussions, or there was a lot of repercussions, and also God would not let me keep it from her. There's a lot of things that she did not know until last year.
Yeah, all I knew was that he was talking. I didn't know that there was actual sex. I didn't know any of that.
She didn't know nothing about what I was doing.
Yeah.
I could have went to my grave and she would have never known. But God says, one day last year, he just said, all right, you said you want more. And I was like, okay.
Because mind you, we had been doing great for like 7 years or so.
Yeah.
Like our marriage had turned around.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
I
we
was just
doing
like, I'm
great.
just going to keep that a secret.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
we doing good.
I
Like, why
hadn't,
tell her?
Right.
Yeah, like nothing. Yeah. And
Right.
so he said, it's time to tell your wife everything. I was like, I beg your pardon?
Yeah. Is that true?
Say that one more time.
That's
Now,
fine.
Come again.
y'all,
Yeah.
let me tell you something. You know how the Bible talks about, I wrestled with God, or you hear
Yeah.
preachers say, I had a problem with God when he said, I had a problem.
Yeah.
I was like, we're good now. Why would you have me come?
Right.
Now, this is going to change
Yeah.
everything. And he would not leave me alone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I go to try to get accountability, like go to multitude of counsel, right? I was like, hey, man, this is what I feel like God is telling me to do. And I talked to two individuals that I really respect. And they both were very reluctant about telling, like, I don't know if you should do that. Like, they both were like, I don't know if you, I don't know, man, because that might. And I thought that was going to give me what I needed to be like, okay,
Yeah.
I won't tell her.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lord.
But what did God say?
He
Yeah.
said,
We
he
heard
said
these
no.
two little friends, but what did God say?
He said no. He said, you got to tell her. So then he starts every day. I'm like, oh my God. Now I'm having dreams.
Yeah.
She's having dreams.
Yeah.
I'm like, Lord, okay.
But do you see, sorry.
No, go
cut you
ahead.
off, the beauty in it, because now you're here.
Now I'm here.
At the altar to
We're
talk
at the
about it.
altar.
And it's your experiences that's going to help millions. I'm going to go ahead and put that
Come
out
on.
there.
Millions.
Of people and men to identify what the situation is,
Yeah.
how they can move forward from it,
Yeah.
and heal marriages. I'm here
Every
for
man
it.
that I've talked to since then,
Yeah.
because God has a lot. This is a crazy thing about the seeds of the crap that we had to sow
Yeah.
through sacrifice and even things that we didn't intend to have to go through, is on the other side of it, God has allowed us to be able to help groom and to help hold other couples accountable for the
Yeah.
same stuff that we
For
once struggled with.
infidelity. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't put nothing past me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna let you do that.
Yeah.
I'm not because I know what it's like to make excuses. Well, you just don't understand. No, I understand.
I do understand.
Yeah.
I overstand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overstand.
I overstand on that.
Yeah. But it's being able to meet.
I understand. Sorry.
No, you did.
I understand.
It's just being able to meet guys where they are and be real with them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, nah, bro, I'm not gonna. One guy called me and was like, bro, I just feel like, my wife, man, she did some things back in the day before we were married that just made me feel like. And I said, and I remember telling him, I said, hey, bro, I said, I ain't finna let you make it with that. I said, I don't want to hear no more excuses, dog.
Yeah.
That's what people need.
Yeah.
I said, what you're doing is you're making excuses to justify
justify.
you being a butthole to your
Yeah.
wife. I would rather you just own and says, yeah, man, like, but don't use something she did 10 years ago, 12 years
Right.
ago, 5 years ago as a reason why you're doing what
Doing
you're
what
doing
you're
today.
doing.
And it doesn't even compare at that.
Right.
And at the
Yeah.
end of the day, and I told him something. I said, now, I want you to know, you have a daughter. She's a little baby now. I said, but I want you to know, this lifestyle that you're condoning behind the scenes, you will see the fruit of that through your daughter. And I wasn't trying to curse her or nothing like that, but it's the truth. Like, what you allow, what you partake in, like, it will not stop with you. There is not a healthy dose of sin.
Yeah.
There is not okay, I'm going to stick with this moderate dose of sin,
Yeah.
and we'll be good
Play
with
it
that.
safe with this little.
It
sin
doesn't
here.
work that good. And before you know it, the things that you're doing to all these other women that make you feel like, ooh, that's what your daughter going to be doing to other men at 16 because she's trying to find herself.
I know you stopped him in his tracks.
He's like, dog, bro, why you got to like... But it's the truth. And we
Yeah.
got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Men, if you out here and you got these sex partners and the reason why you doing it is because they doing a bunch of stuff that your wife don't do, just know that your daughter possibly one day is going to be doing stuff that other girls don't do. for these little boys, and it might be at 16, 17, 18. And I'm not saying that happens every time, but what I'm saying is what you are participating in, what you are lending your members to, it doesn't stop with you.
Yeah.
Sin it doesn't cap at this little space. Like, yeah, we're good, right? It wants to take everything you own.
Yeah.
It wants your lineage. It wants your children. It wants your children's children.
Yes.
What's happening is you're doing things that's affecting kids that ain't even here yet.
Yeah.
Ooh.
My God.
Ooh. Ooh.
Huh?
Man.
Who's
It reminds me
speaking?
of, like, in the word, and I ain't gonna say I'm the scholar of the Bible, but I feel like there's a point where the spirit comes out, but when it comes back.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
A certain
more,
time.
sometimes
Yeah.
more, right? Like that's like you talked about that. Oh, I'm gonna try just this moderate of sin,
Yeah.
but you then talk about my seed. Well, okay, all right, you putting just one of me. Well, I'm gonna go to your seed 7 times more. Like
They come after him, man.
and it's coming after, and it's just
And that's how it's like you have to realize that you're not living your life just for you.
You're not.
Like the decisions that you make, it affects more than just yourself.
It's always about somebody else.
It's always about somebody
Always,
else.
always,
Yeah.
always. Even him telling me, I am proud to say. Now I don't usually vocalize it, but he's telling me I need to get better about this. I am proud to say that I ended up releasing a devotional on the YouVersion Bible
Come on,
app
devotional.
called "I Stayed: Healing Past Hurt, Betrayal, and Infidelity."
hold on,
And
say it again
Talk
slowly,
slow,
because
talk
so
slow.
the folks
Let the
can
folks
go
know.
They about to-
down. Throw in that plug.
Come on,
It's a
throw it
shameless
in.
plug that needs to be heard.
it's called "I Stayed: Healing Past Hurt, Betrayal, and
Yes.
Infidelity." And I have had over 20,000
That part.
people. I would say
That's-
women, but some could be men. But
Yeah.
20,000
Yeah.
people have
Yeah.
subscribed to this.
And guys,
amazing.
it is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
And I know you're supposed to do one day at a time, but I did not.
She did.
I went like
She went
I
through the
think
whole
I did
thing.
like 4 days in one session. I was like,
She-
oh, I gotta keep scrolling.
Yeah.
Like it was
Right.
that good. That
Thank
like,
you.
Yeah, I couldn't.
And for me, I think I just left it. Like, when you end it, it comes off.
Yeah.
So I just get to the end and I just.
He didn't do anything.
I didn't
so
do
it was
the
that.
last. I didn't do the last part, so it just stays there. So I always
Yeah.
have it. Like it's just.
Oh,
It's
thank
so
y'all.
good.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
y'all.
it's
Yeah.
so good.
But if you hadn't have told me these 20,000 women would not be doing the devotional, not only that, like I've had these women reach out to me, and I had one woman tell me, your devotional came out just in time. Like I was going to commit suicide, and I read your devotional, and I now feel hope again. I'm just like, wow,
there's
it was the
purpose.
timing of you being obedient when God told you to do it. I mean, I know you waited a little bit, but when he finally said, "Do it now, son,"
Yeah.
you did
No,
it.
I mean, the truth is, I didn't hear it as loud. Like, obviously, there was times in my past throughout our marriage where I was like, man, I probably need to tell my wife. But it wasn't like this time, it was like God was like, you're going to tell your wife.
Yeah.
And I struggled with it a week and a half maybe before I did it. Going back and forth, asking people, should I do what God told me to do? Like,
the voice.
and I want to say, I have realized, and it wasn't until that moment, or maybe even after that, that I realized that my healing was tied up in my confession. Because I had not confessed to her what I had done. That's why I had still struggled. That's why I still wasn't completely whole and healed. Bible says to confess your sins one to another. And I didn't do that with my own wife. The issue is, men, is that we get married and we say, well, this is my helpmeet. But we say that as a term of endearment. But she really is my helpmeet. The problem was, when I would struggle, I wouldn't go to my wife, who was my helpmeet, and say, baby, I'm struggling with this.
Yep.
Because as men, we grow up like, you better not tell your wife you attracted to another woman.
Yeah.
You better not tell your wife this other girl hit you up, because she gonna act all crazy and she gonna trip on you and she ain't gonna let you do nothing. She gonna be always wanting to see what. But that's my helpmeet.
Right. Right.
She is the Holy, like she is literally a type of Holy Spirit to us. Our wives are like a type of Holy Spirit. God put them there. They have discernment. They help. And I did not lean into her when I would struggle. So I had to walk it by myself.
Yeah.
And so now I came up with this saying today that because we're supposed to confess our sins, but one thing that we don't do, not just as men, but as men and women, is we don't confess our wins. Like there is power. Like the old saints back in the day used to have testimony service. And when they would tell their testimony, other people get amped up and excited and anticipation what God was going to do in their lives. It's the same thing. So I had sent y'all this message earlier that says, confess your sins one to another and express your wins one to another. And so I have a win but I would never have been able to do this if we hadn't got this right.
Yeah.
And so I had a young lady reach out to me today through a DM. She didn't say nothing crazy, nothing like that. She had a genuine question, but I naturally, when someone messages me that I don't recognize, I just click on their profile to see who they are. And when I clicked on her profile, like, all her pictures were like suggestive.
Too much. All her pictures were too.
Rocking everywhere.
You know, I always gotta move my shoulders.
Hey, the fact that you got with him, she went straight to it. Like,
Yeah, she did.
yeah. And guess what? It was appealing. I'm a man. I still see.
I was about to high five you. I thought you was going somewhere else.
Wait, it ain't over.
Okay, I got it in reserve.
Reserve it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I saw the picture, so it was.
Now, check this out.
Yeah.
Here's the win for me.
Yep.
This is a win.
Yep.
The win was when I saw it, I was like, oh, shoot.
Uh-huh.
And I went back out of it, out of her profile.
You didn't stay.
And I went to my wife and I showed her the profile. I said, hey, this girl just messaged me. And I said, I want you to see the photos. I want you to see what I saw.
Yeah.
So I clicked on her profile and showed her. I said, I'm going to respond. I just wanted you to see the profile. Now, if she would have said, nah, don't even respond, then I wouldn't have did it.
Yeah.
But again, she wasn't trying to sneak and try to, like, it was a genuine question she had about something. But I showed her and I wanted to make sure she actually saw the images I saw. And then she's like, okay. I said, I'm going to respond. And so right there, I responded. And then I read her what I responded with.
Right. So
That's a win.
That is a win.
You understand me?
Yeah.
And like, that's how, like, it's not just, right, confessing your sins, but we need to also be able to express our wins. When we have wins, because when we have wins like that, like, it energizes us. I told a close friend of mine about it today, and he was just like, dog, that's what I'm talking about, dog.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so proud of you, boy. And it's not even like I had been doing anything other than that, but it's just like, when you start sharing the thing that once had you bound,
that part.
and now you start sharing how you overcome those things and how you deal with it, now that is what it's all about.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so yeah.
We proud of you, dog. We are proud of you.
I'm proud of you, boo.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. For those who heard all that and still like, she crazy.
Hey,
I don't care.
she might be.
Listen, but I don't care what anybody thinks. There is nothing that anyone that can say to me that would shake me in this marriage.
And
I did not make a mistake.
Come on.
Yeah.
This is a man of God. He is the head and not the tail. He is above only and not beneath.
Preach the word.
Listen.
Preach the word.
And I did not make a mistake.
Yes.
He is the best thing that ever happened to me. With the story, I am stronger because of him. I am a
We are
beast
stronger.
because of our story.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
It's true.
So I am.
Ernestine, don't get going because you're going to have me crying up in here.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's
But,
all right.
but the thing
Yeah.
is, the thing is the people, y'all are crazy.
We can't sit by each other.
No, y'all need to sit by each other. But the beauty of it is this. Is the marriages that we've been able to impact
Listen.
part.
because of it. I can't, and we're not gonna go into today. This will unfold naturally through other episodes or whatever. But I'll say this last thing: like the people, the men, the women, single folk and married folk that we've been able to deposit into, like you can't, like, that's the beauty of why we go through some of the things that we go through and then overcome. And to be able to stand on this side of it. Now, there's gonna be plenty of people that's like, girl, you stupid.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, that's gonna be that's a real thing.
Yeah.
And I could care less.
Yeah.
I don't care about what y'all think.
What does God think?
Like,
That's
at the
all
end of
that matters.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
he took this thing that was broken,
Yeah.
these two pieces that were broken already,
Yeah.
came together and was still not whole, but he
Yep.
came into the picture and he healed it.
Yep.
And guess who gets the glory because of it? We don't get the glory. We're not heroes in this story. God is.
Yep.
We have children right now who are being raised in a whole household
Yeah.
that sees love and
Yeah.
also knows our story.
Yeah.
We haven't hidden it from the kids.
Yeah.
Like, my kids know I made some dumb mistakes.
Yeah.
Because the healing ain't just for me, it's for my kids. Because again, if the brokenness is in the bloodline, then my kids were already born broken. So I got to teach my sons now, hey, when you make a mistake, you confess that thing.
Yeah.
And you grow from it.
Yeah.
Don't try to keep it to yourself. Don't try to work it out alone. Like, you need to own your mistake and you grow from it, just like Dad did. Look, I did this. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you gotta also you have to manage that because people can handle different things, right? So you have to manage like the stuff that you say, and But I'll say this last part, just going back to the statement I made earlier about her being my helpmeet. Like, not only did I show her, that instance where the young lady messaged me, but there's times where like if something happens that catches me off guard, like maybe I'm in public, I'm at the mall, and I see something like, oh Lord. And that image is in my mind now. Hey, babe, just saw something. Kind of threw me off a little bit. Yeah. I've been in church. Women come to church dressed like they going to the club.
Because they're trying to catch.
You know what I'm saying? And there's times where, like, you can't help but to see some of the things that
Everybody
you see.
has eyes.
We have eyes. And what I do is I just invite her into that space.
Yeah.
I don't try to exclude her and keep her out of it.
That's good. Yeah.
And so when I see something, I'm like, oh, crap. Usually I'm like, I'm good. Like, okay, that was rough. But there are times where I see something and then 15 minutes later, that image still pops up in my mind. Hey, babe, I just saw this thing earlier. Want you to let you know.
Yeah.
And she'll be like, baby, I'm praying for you. Thank you for telling me. And she'll be like, you get home tonight, we can, like, and it's not, and here's the thing. Being healed don't mean you blind.
Right.
Being healed doesn't, now here's the thing. Being whole and healed doesn't mean the presentation stops.
Right.
For example, if I put food on a trash can lid and I present it to you, are you going to take it? You got the Cosby reference. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
You know I didn't. And I watch the Cosby show all the time.
He said, that's how she gave you to me. On the trash can lid.
Yep.
That was a great episode.
That's a really good episode. Yeah.
We watched it the other day.
The Cosby Show, y'all. Go watch the Cosby Show. I know people, oh Lord.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, oh, they watch the Cosby. We can't watch this podcast no more. But the point is, if I present that to you, your issue is whether you receive it or not.
Yep.
Your issue is not how or what was presented to you. I can't control what is presented to me. And a lot of times, the reason why I was so defeated, because I was so upset that it was presented to me. A thought came in like, man, I guess I'm not healed because I still had this thought about this girl. Oh man, I had a temptation to watch porn and I guess I'm not healed. So I have literally said, I guess I'll watch it because I guess I'm not whole because I still have a desire to do it. That is not it. The fight is not in the presentation.
Temptations are still going to come.
Jesus was tempted.
Yeah.
40 days and 40 days he was in the wilderness fasting and the devil says, hey, if you really the son of God, turn these stones into loaves of bread. He couldn't help or stop the presentation to sin, but Jesus met him with the word. He says, oh no. Man should not live by bread alone, but with every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God, which was an example for us to fight these urges with the word.
Yeah.
Right? And so anyway, I'm saying that to say that she is my helpmeet, and I encourage every husband or wife your mate is there to help walk. If you exclude them, then you're gonna feel lonely. You're gonna walk these out, and you might not make the best decisions, or it might be harder to make the good decisions because you're not utilizing the help me that you have. So she's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I don't just say that because of the podcast. I've said this before. If you follow us on Instagram, you see that I've said it. I pinned photos of us at the top, so people do come and they're like,
first thing they see.
They see her. They see her name in my bio, like her tag in my bio, because most of this, I just need you to see it up front. Yeah. I don't even want to have to, like, you're going to see it up front. And if you proceed past those gates, I really know what I'm dealing with. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So,
that's our long story.
And man, I tried our best to just water it down, to not over talking, because there's so many things, but ultimately God healed us and still healing us and is allowing us to be healing to other people.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that, guys.
Well, y'all story, man. It's deep. But I appreciate it so much. And I'm sitting here as a man listening, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I definitely dealt with that and dealt with this. And I think for us in our relationship, that piece of confiding in my wife and being, this is what I'm dealing with and coming to her, I think that's been one that's always been a struggle for me. And always been something I think I continue even now to try to be better at saying, oh, I saw this is what's happening, or I was looking at this and not, scrolling my phone and I see it and like kind of, I'm good at going away, but like, hey, just let you know this is
Yeah.
that part, because I think again what's kind of been passed down, and for me, my dad was to hide it or try to hide it as much as possible.
Yeah.
And so it was like, well, I guess that's what I do, right? You don't say anything. You,
Yeah.
Right.
you try to hide it unless
Yeah.
until you get caught type
Until you get
thing.
caught,
Then
yeah.
type thing. So it's like hearing that is like is even like all right, continue to get better at that.
Yeah.
And for us it's just so unique because we've known each other so long.
Yeah.
And so she's seen the growth, and like you're talking as 11 and 12 years old, and she sees the kid in me, to see the man I am now, and
Yeah.
to see the girl and the woman she is now. It's been unique. And it's been, I think our biggest challenge is how do we stay together, because it's easy to kind of just say, I know who this is, and kind of get comfortable.
Get comfortable.
Because we've known each other so long. And for us, I think, we got married young. I was 21. She was 22. Just graduated.
23, right?
No, he was 22. No, 20. Yeah, 23. I was 21, about to turn 22.
Yep.
We moved to Oklahoma literally a week after we got
wow.
married
Yeah.
to start my graduate assistantship at Oklahoma. And that was the first time she had been out of Oklahoma. So it was
First time I had moved away.
I
in
moved
general.
away.
Like I was always at home.
Mm-hmm.
So this was
And you're originally from where?
Virginia.
Virginia.
Yeah.
And so now it's like taking her away. And for me, I've been away, I've been in school. And even think about that, like I think we talked about like our relationship. Like started dating my senior year of high school. And that's like right before going away for college. So majority of our relationship of dating was long distance.
Yeah.
Because I was in school and she was in Virginia and I was in Pennsylvania. And it's like, all right, we're doing this. And now it's like, we're getting married and we're going to start this life. Because I knew like, this was my girl. This is my person. Like, I'm not going to leave Virginia and without her. So it was one of those things like I knew at that moment, like we was going to get married and we lived in the household like, oh, you ain't moving with them without a wedding ring type thing. And that relatable of like in the church but doing your thing, like that was definitely
yeah, we ain't got to go into detail. I was about to say it was, thank God, like just for his grace.
Come on,
Yeah.
Grace. We love Grace.
I'm telling you, I mean, it was as bad as going to church then just coming home and like you know,
Man,
Golly.
worshiping another way that we shouldn't have been.
Yeah, right.
Back
And
then.
it's just like
Idol
man.
worship.
But I think we're probably just in our story just kind of different pockets, because for us it was unique because of my work. That was different. Like Hope kind of came into my life her parents were going through a divorce. I was kind of that listening ear. I felt like confidence in her wasn't where it used to be. So I was a booster in that. And then now I'm taking her away from everything she knew to trying to find community and trying to find people. And that was hard as kids, 21, not making much money around people that from all walks of life. And you're like trying to figure this thing out.
But it was even too like when we moved to Oklahoma, he was part of a graduate assistant situation, right? So he was still in school and not 100% on what he wanted to be, like as a career. So I remember one day, like we're sitting in the bedroom and I'm like, okay, you're doing all these things, you're in school, you're having your experience in like ticket office or like football operations or whatever. And I was like, what do you want to do? And he was like, okay. And he was like, I think I want to be like a director of football operations. And I was like, well, what does that look like? And I feel like that's something I should have known before. Before saying I do. Because I mean it's taxing on the marriage. Like he would be away. He would be traveling. He'd be working 16, 17-hour days. Like, I just did not know going into it. I just knew I loved him. That's all I knew.
I knew I loved him.
And so I'm kind of like, okay, maybe we should have a conversation. But I think he was still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I think because of being so young, it's like any 17, 18, 19-year-old. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know once I graduated, I was like, the next thing is go to grad school.
Yeah.
I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah.
And that was part of that was like, help you figure it out. And so, yeah, it was like one of the things like, I think I want to do this, but this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could be away a lot.
Yeah.
And that being away a lot definitely took a toll on us in those first few years because it was like, I work in college athletics. There are women's sports on college campuses.
Short
and
volleyball shorts.
Short volleyball.
Tight
And
leggings.
I was the
Why
vet
do they
management.
gotta? I mean, I think I guess I can understand why, but I never understood
Why they gotta be so short?
why they gotta be so fitting and short.
I mean,
Like, what am I missing?
right? Just cusping.
Cuspids.
Cusping. Gosh. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and so being around that like all the time because I'm working that and different things like that and meeting different people. And while she's at home and she's like, oh, so who's this? And then we go someplace and then you hear the girls.
Well, yep. That's what I was about to say because it was like, "Hi, girl," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, who's she?" And then, "Hi, girl," you know, you just the girls around campus. And it's like a lot of people know your name. Like, why? It's the question.
Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
No, it was it was that. It was that. And I think we battle. And for me, it was always feeling like I had to prove myself. Growing up for me, my dad, that the infidelity was there. And so I wasn't the type where I was like, I kind of fell into that same boat. Love women. I was always friends, but I always felt like I had no game, so we wasn't gonna do anything because I didn't know what to say. So, so it was like, I was more so, I'm gonna just be friends and I want to be the opposite of my dad. So for me, it was never allowing that piece of him to be in me. It was like the importance of, I'm going to do the exact, I'm going to do everything I can to do everything he didn't do. And so wanting to, I think that kind of fueled being with somebody at a young age and just going to her. But my problem was I'm also the center of attention, the party guy, the people pleaser.
Number 22, right? Was that what it was?
Deuce. So with that, thank you. So with that came
Help me.
the alcohol, like in college, drinking. Then you get to college and you boys. My roommate was from the A, so it was just like, oh, we gonna party, and like alcohol was probably my like. It was bad. Like you said, the story of like about the best in the kitchen. I had to, as I'm trying to walk to the bathroom,
We get real raw, real quick.
I'm like going to the bathroom, walking
relatable.
down, trying to get to the bathroom. Like,
Oh, man.
like I had moments that was just bad and just, and so trying to learn through all that and then make sure she's comfortable. Throughout our marriage. And for us now, we're moving from place to place.
Well, the drinking, I just want to clarify because I don't want like listeners to just pick this up a certain way. But you're talking about the drinking was back in college.
Back in
when we were
college,
dating.
yeah.
When you were doing your GA-ship, is that correct terminology? GA-ship?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you were doing that, you weren't doing like the...
No, it wasn't heavy.
Yeah.
We would do it at like the golf tournaments, you know, the social events.
drinking.
It was more of the social drinking. At that
College
point,
was another story.
college was another
Thank
story.
God for grace.
But then from there, and I think kind of those tolls of marriage is like, okay, now we're moving that journey of workplaces every 2 years because now I'm trying to get to the next job to make more money, to do this, to make a better life. And like we were at place for 2 years. So we're like Oklahoma, back to Virginia, back to Oklahoma, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Illinois, before it was a stop of coming here to Tulsa and where we are now. So it was like 7 moves.
Yeah, 7 moves. It's interesting because I didn't realize till this year, like, it's weird how, like, things can shape your life. Like, I don't have a lot of female friends or friends because I was like, well, why invest if we're going to move in 2 years? So, like, every year, like, it was just, I was rocking with Cadero. And I was like, now I'm looking at it like, I probably missed out on like some bomb friendships because I just did not feel like investing myself because I'm like, well, what's the point? Like, we're going to move, we're going to leave. I don't want to get too attached. And then like my heart breaks when I leave and like all that stuff. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I think we kind of went through that journey, going through all the moves, and then like the secrecy stuff when you talked about that and trying to confide.
Yeah.
It was that being around females, I'm not a confrontational person. I'm chill, laid back, and it's hard to speak up because I like, oh, she gonna be mad, and if
I
she
want
get
the smoke.
mad, she
She
wants that
wants all the
smoke.
smoke.
And I don't want that smoke. And I'm like, so there'll be moments I'll just hide it to thinking I'm keeping the peace and not realizing it's making it worse. And so there was times where it's like, I remember getting a text and it was like, I think it was my birthday. Was that my birthday? Yeah, it was my birthday. It was like, happy birthday. I'm so glad you're in my life type thing. And I'm just like, and I deleted off my phone.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still on, I think, my iWatch, my iPad, because all that's connected. And so she like talked to me. I'm like, what are you talking about? And like, it's like, and then
Oh, that's the worst.
yes, and it was like,
So okay. When you said, "What are you talking about?" When she brought it up, did you know what she was talking about, or did you genuinely forget?
no, I kind of knew.
So
I
that's
knew,
what make it
yeah,
worse.
Yeah, I kind of knew what
Yeah.
she was talking about, like who texts, like.
You start looking towards the heavens. That's when you know you lying. Like, what?
I'm telling you, like I told Kidera, the Holy Spirit has a way of working, talking, revealing.
Yeah.
And
Always.
it's always gonna come to light. But go ahead, sorry.
No, and so it was a battle, because it was like, for me, it was just always trying to figure out how to talk to my wife and tell her, because I felt like at the end of the day she's gonna be mad, and like coming to that notion, like all she wanted was honesty.
Right.
And that's what I told him. I said, I don't care what it is. Be honest with me. I respect that more than a lie. And it was one of those things where I told Kidero, like, you feel like you're helping the situation by hiding it, but I'm losing trust in you each time I see that you're hiding something, or like I find something on my own. It would have been a lot better if you would have just came to me and say, because there was another instance where, they complimenting, not they, but this one girl was like complimenting like his workout just from, I guess they were buddies on the thing.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
But the way that it was said was not sitting to.
It wasn't sitting.
It wasn't sitting right.
It
with
wasn't
me.
giving.
It was not giving. And so it's one of those things again. It's like he tried to hide it, and I was like, it looks worse when you try to hide it than just being upfront and being. I mean, not even that you had to tell me, but just don't delete it. Like it's showing up in other places, But anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Where would you like me to go in
I
this
don't know.
story?
No, I don't know. Go ahead. I'm done.
No,
for
but
now.
I think from there, like there has been definitely growth.
Yes.
In that, and it's almost like ripping the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
And for me, just trying to see where that comes from.
Yeah.
And I think that just comes from a lot with growing up and just never rocking the boat, because I've seen it rocked so much, and that piece of, I'm going to do the opposite.
Yeah.
And the boat was rocked so much, I'm going to keep the peace.
Yeah.
And now I think having the self-awareness to say, okay, but you got to be honest. You got to talk. And that's your wife.
Yeah.
So that piece I think is there. Kind of fast forward in our journey, from workplace to now coming to a place that we are now. We talked about it earlier. I said the themes of our marriage probably is surrender and obedience. Surrendering to just what God has for us. For me, in 2019, working in this industry of football for so long, and I remember getting my head coach walks in and basically reads a letter to me, talking about how much he appreciates me, however he's letting me go. And I was just,
I wasn't expecting you to say
thinking
that.
I was not expecting that
I was
either.
thinking I'm in complete shock.
Meanwhile, the Holy Spirit told me a week and a half earlier that this was going to happen, because we were at an event and he could not look me in the eyes for whatever reason. I was like, why? I'm thinking to myself, like, why is he avoiding me right now? Like, why can't he speak to me? And of course, the end of the year, the season's over and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, it just feels funny right now, but I'm going to just let it
And
play
there was a
out.
couple times I remember just feeling this way, and I remember an opportunity came open somewhere else. But I remember my first thought was, I'm not going to bring it up to her because we've always had talk of, all right, we're Midwest, we're from the East Coast, we're in Midwest right now. This was opportunity was out west, and her was like, I ain't going out west, and I was like, I'm just not going to even bring it. So I was like, let me just ride this.
Ride it.
And so I wrote, but it got to the point where then I'm getting fired. And so the thing is, athletics had been my life from the moment I was 6 years old. Like, I'm doing stuff in athletics. I played football in college. Even when I stopped playing, now I'm working in it. All I knew is that then became my identity. And you talk about, finding your identity in Christ, but it's like the work I do every day. I'm spending more time at work than I'm spending in the Word. Yeah. So I'm not finding my identity in Christ. I'm finding it in my workplace. Yeah. And so that moment when I'm fired, I'm like, wow. For no reason at the end of the day, it was literally for somebody, for you, the board of trustee friend that need the job now.
Oh, wow.
And I'm the last man standing because I'm not part of the circle. So you're out.
Yeah.
It's like, that took such a knock on me, and I think I fell into like deep depression. And we had good people around us, because this is why we literally was about to be we were out of our lease.
Our lease was ending.
Ending.
Meanwhile, I'm ready to go up to the office. I met Kadero. He called me.
Smoke, yo.
He called me and he said, "This is what happened." I was at work. I said, okay, I'm coming over there. Because literally, my job was like 5 minutes across the street. Yeah. I was like, I'm coming over there. So I met him in the parking garage, and he told me, and I said, okay. I said, you want to go in there? He was like, Hope, no. I said, no, like
That
legit. Because I had some things. Calm down, because that's not our story now.
That is not.
But it was just when you see, it did work out. But it's like when you see, but it's like when you see somebody disrespect your spouse after all of the hard work, the labor, the impact that they've had on students, the way that these football players confided in him, the way that we had them at our house, like they were like, this is literally our home away from home. Like, it's bigger than just what's on the field. Like, for us, we were invested. Like, and some people weren't. It was just a paycheck. But it's like when you now are making him question who he is, I have a problem with that. And I'm just, I was ready to go. But Kadero talked me down, and we just sat in the car. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, and then I think there was a period prior, I was out of work probably 3 months. So I knew it was like, because they then gave me the severance of like, oh, here you go. Here's 3 months worth.
Wait, hold on. Sorry. I want to say this too. 2 weeks before he got fired, though, I told Kadero, I was like, I'm just not happy in my job.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, oh, we're good. We can live off of my paycheck.
Because I had just got a raise.
Because he had just got a raise. He was like, we can live off of my paycheck. And I was like, okay, good. So I'm starting to work for myself. 2 weeks later, then we get the news that he was fired. So now we both ain't got no job.
You had already resigned.
I had already resigned.
Yeah. Neither of us got a job. And so now we're living off that. But they did give me...
homeless?
I
mean, that's a real question. We had nowhere to go.
We had nowhere to go. And there's some of the assistant coaches, there was some that were like mad.
Yeah.
Like big mad.
Yeah.
And one was like, we told him like our situation. He's like, well, I got our other place in the city. Y'all can stay there for as long as y'all want.
That's great.
Oh, that's good.
Did y'all actually go stay there?
Yeah,
we did.
We did.
Yeah.
We literally, I didn't know what
literally
our
lease was up, and it made no sense to renew. We had.
Yeah. We couldn't.
What was gonna pay with?
Yeah. So we stayed there.
So can we talk about what was the? This is a question for both of you individually, like, because we've never been in a situation where we didn't have nowhere to go, but we did understand like the feeling of circumstances are about to change and we don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
How did that affect y'all, like individually, but and even together, like spiritually? Like, where was your faith at the time? Like, how present was fear in the unknown in that space?
For me, big time. Because now, as the man of the house, all my thought is I need to take care of my family.
Yeah.
And I can't. So, and in that time, and one thing is so interesting about all these moves is we were in Oklahoma. When we first moved to Oklahoma, we found a good church. We moved back to Virginia. We had our home church. And but when we moved to South Dakota, Wisconsin, even Chicago, we didn't have a good church. So now that faith level is not being built up.
Yeah.
I'm not practicing it as much.
Yeah.
So now that fear is even higher because there's like, I'm trying to pull off of old stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, God got me. This check. We got we got one more month of this severance pay. So I need this and I need to figure it out. And it was crazy because every job I wanted, I would get this close. Yeah. No, we're going with the next guy. The other guy.
Don't
and
you
it
hate
was like,
that?
what is going on?
Yeah.
So it was definitely for me a fear. And it was in that moment, it was a depression because one, I'm fearful what's about to happen of the unknown. I found my identity in this work and I'm not doing it. And somebody just got rid of me for no reason. So what am I doing? Am I doing it right? So yeah, I fell into this like, this is my life now. And I'm living in this other man's house. I'm living in another man's house.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, going through the day trying to figure it out.
Yeah. What about you, Hope?
For me, it was hard to see him walk through that depression. I mean, because like he was there, his body was there, but he wasn't there. Like it was rough. For me though, spiritually, I knew everything was gonna work out. Like I'm not the type of wife that's like, oh, well, we gotta live with your in-laws. Like if it came down to that, I knew we had homes to go to. Like if we went back home or something like that. And I'm not hung up on, okay, if we gotta stay here for a minute, then that's what we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of in that boat. Like, God, you have us. I know everything happens for a reason. And I think at that point, like, God has always come through for us, even if it was at the very last minute. So it was like I knew that he was going to ultimately take care of us. But I think my main struggle was, how do I deal with my husband that's not present right now?
Ooh,
And so
that's
that was
great question.
challenging.
Yeah.
I would
How
say.
did you deal with me in that moment? That when I wasn't present?
A lot of prayer. and I know that sounds cliche, but like I had to have that relationship with God. Like, God, how do I speak to him right now? Like what does he need from me? Because he can't articulate what he needs or what he's feeling. Like this is the first time this has ever happened to him. And so it was a lot of like, Holy Spirit, lead me, like guide me, like show me what to do. And there was times that I was like, Kadero, let's just grab a pizza. Domino's was like $5.99 for a carry out. And I was like, we're going to have a date in the living room. So we like set up like a little like picnic situation. And I was like, if this is what it is, then this is what it is. But like, I know it's hard to say like, let's make the best out of the situation because we knew what the situation was.
Yeah.
But that was my attitude going through it.
Yeah.
It was like, we're going to do whatever we need to do. If we need to go, just take a walk or a drive or whatever, like, let me help you get out of this funk that he was in.
I really love
too.
love that.
Yeah, and listening to you say that just really, I just keep hearing you got to be not careful who you marry, but just choose wisely because he needed you.
Yeah.
Somebody else would have handled
Yeah.
that totally different. I've heard horror stories.
Yeah.
Choose wisely.
Yeah.
Or I think about the story of Job and his wife when he's going through all of the stuff that he's going through and he loses all of the like land and or like the things that he owned, lost his children, and the one person that is closest to him that can encourage him and say, hey, like, no, keep fighting. I know it looks like it's rough and I know it looks like this is what it's going to be for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
She tells him, curse God and die.
Yeah.
So
That is
piggybacking,
not something you need to hear.
listen, piggybacking off of Ernestine, like it is important who we connect to, who we give our lives to, who we become one with, because all of the stuff that I've gone through, I didn't have a curse God and die wife.
Yeah.
I would not be sitting in this chair if she was the curse God and die wife.
Yeah.
And same for you. You would not be sitting in that chair
Yeah.
talking to all these people, encouraging people through your story if your wife was a curse God and die wife. So thank you, Hope, for not being a curse God and die wife.
Come on, Ernestine, because I know you're the same.
So in that time frame, this is like January, February. I had a colleague that throughout we just known each other through the business, and he called me, was like, "Hey, I have this role for you. I think you'd be great. You're good with people, great relationship builder. It's in recruiting." And I was like, "No, thank you. Thank you, but no, thank you. I don't." He's like, all right. Well, I'll
Meanwhile,
keep
you
in
didn't have a
mind."
job, right?
I didn't have a job, but we
Now,
had
does
something.
she know you said no thank you?
Yeah, she know. Because she knew like I wanted, and I was applying for these others. And
So this was early when the
early.
severance checks were still rolling in,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, we still got a little bit
We
of
still
time.
got a little
Yeah.
time to try to
Little
figure
time.
some stuff out.
But and then he would literally seem like he would either text me or call me like once a month and just ask me. Well, March came
Month
and that
three.
was that last.
Severance.
And
Check.
and I was like, he calling me again, like, "Hey, what you think?" And this one letting me like,
Brother,
"Brother, we ain't got nothing else.
you ain't got nothing else
I know
rolling
we
in
don't
right
wanna
now.
Go, but and you don't like this job. You may not like this role, but." And I still had to apply. It wasn't even like it was like, "Oh, it's yours." It was like I'm still have to apply. I had to go up there and do the interview.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, this is like literally in the same conference. So this coach knows my old head coach. So of course he's gonna wonder why. And so that's the whole thing I'm thinking that's looming over my head. I got fired. That's what all it looks like to everybody else.
Right.
All these head coaches, they're gonna call and wonder, well, why did you get rid of him? That's all I can think. So I went through the process. And I was like, all right, we're gonna take this job. We're gonna move to Chicago. And I get the job. I go through the whole interview. It went well. And I remember the head coach, that head coach at it was at Northwestern. He was like, "Hey, I called your former boss. He didn't even remember why." Like what the whole story, and he said his wife was pretty mad at him for letting you go. And then I had somebody else dig a little deep, and that's how I found out. Yeah, it was a little bit of rubbing somebody else's back and taking care of them to get you in there. So that's kind of how that all unfolded.
That's a good thing though, right?
Yeah,
That's a good thing because it could look like, well, why'd you get fired from this job? And I don't know what answer you would normally give in that.
Right.
and literally, in one of I'm talking to like a senior AD, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Why did you get fired?" That's the only question. He said, "You have everything. You're overqualified for this job. Why did you get fired?" And I told him, "I don't know. You're gonna have to call them."
And the
ask
fact that they
them."
didn't know either.
and they had no clue.
But see, you saying that right there, because a lot of times people will know why they got fired,
Yeah.
or even not know why they got fired.
Yeah.
But the fact that you say you're gonna have to call them, they was like, okay, that probably gives, because a lot of times people ain't telling, well, just call my job and ask, because they know.
Right, they don't want you to
Right.
go.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know, but I mean, and you know how they ask you, like, can we contact? And you put no.
Yeah.
Right. No,
Now,
call them.
Please call
Ask
them. Ask
please.
them.
Because I have
and
no
and
idea.
give me
Tell
that
me.
information
Yeah.
to me, because they
Please.
lying to
What they
me.
said.
They're lying to me.
Wow.
So it was in that moment, it was just like it felt good to be back in it. But that was 2019, and then the pandemic happens.
Yeah.
And so it was crazy. Now we're talking like our marriage, and we're going through all this. And during this time, we have been trying to have a baby.
Okay.
We never stopped. We never not tried to have a baby. I would
Yeah.
say when we first got married, it was like free game. And we think back like, why was we trying out $1,000 a month trying to think we was gonna have a kid? Like, what were
Right.
we thinking?
God knew.
But I remember having a walk with her.
The Lord knows.
He knew. Because I remember on a walk with her in like our first year, and she asked, like, what do you want? I was like, maybe a couple years. She was so mad. What do you mean a couple years? Like, I'm ready now. Like, I'm like,
I was ready to legally have sex and have a baby. That's what I was ready for.
She was ready.
I was
like
ready.
you said, God knows. And it was so
Yeah.
crazy. We had went through all this up to this point. While we were at Wisconsin in 2015, we did get pregnant because we
Yeah.
had got on like oral treatment at that time. And we had a miscarriage at 6 weeks. And so we already had been through that process. And so we're talking like, then we had done other treatments and things like that, and nothing has worked. We now are in Illinois, and we're like, all right, what are the next steps? And they tell us, the last appointment, well, maybe next steps, you think about IVF. And we're like, when we're in Wisconsin, that's when they're telling them, we're like, IVF. That's like, we've seen, we literally had a coworker that's on the same staff did it. And he's been like, it was like $35,000-$40,000 of doing that. Whoa. And so we're now
for one cycle.
So now we're in Chicago, and I remember going through my like insurance thing, and they were like, it's paid for. And so we were like, oh.
The most we came out was like $1,500
for during our fire, and we did 2 cycles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of IVF. And so and Hope is a type, everything's gonna come full circle type.
Yeah.
So what is the reason? Maybe this is the reason why we came to Chicago, because this is our chance to have our baby. And so here we are in this moment, 2019, we start our IVF. And so that moment right there is, I think, a test in marriage, because you talk about the emotional drain. For me, it's like, I'm not doing anything, and there's nothing I can do. But I'm gonna help as much as possible. I'm giving her 3 shots a day. Wow. And this is all I can do. For her, it's like I can see the emotional and physical toll that she's getting just everywhere in her stomach. And it's like,
I mean, I ain't go through that, but it sound like that's
and
rough.
I think the worst thing is like the shots would sting. Like the medicine would actually like burn. But
and then for us, it's like, you think it's supposed to work. This is
we paying. Well, we wasn't paying all this money, but I was like, people paying this money. Like there should be a guaranteed baby.
They take my sperm, they take her egg, the eggs, they create this, they create the embryo, they put it like, this is supposed to work.
Right.
Yeah.
And for our first cycle, nothing. Like it did not work. It did not take at all. And it's like, wait a minute, like okay, let's do it again. And then the second time, it does take.
Because they put 2 embryos
and
in
they
there.
put 2 embryos, so there was a chance of twins even in that moment. But one didn't make it, and then one did begin, and then we miscarried again at 6 weeks.
Wow.
And so there is that recycle of we've been through this before. We're trying God. We're questioning God.
Does this stop you from wanting to try again?
Yes.
Yeah.
I got to the point where I was just like, God, I'm over it. Like at this point, emotionally, I'm drained. I was like, spiritually, I'm drained. Like physically, I'm drained.
Because there's those pressures of when you're ovulating, you got to do it.
Yeah, like everything was timed.
Everything's timed.
So I'm like, I'm stressed trying to just get the shots done. And then it's like that final shot that you take to like, I think it was like to release or something. I don't know. Egg, it has to be at like a certain time. So like we got alarms around the house, like trying to make sure.
So it's actually a job.
It's a job. Go
ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, and it's very taxing on even date nights, because I remember we went to a basketball game, and of course all the medication like you have to keep refrigerated. So we had to take a cooler to a basketball game, and it's like we were double dating with this other couple, and we were like, okay, we'll be right back. So we literally went to the family bathroom and laid all the medicines and shots out on the changing table. And so I'm like, God, you see our efforts. I had to like talk to security, like, no, I have to bring this bag in. Like, you see our efforts, you see us trying. And I want to be sensitive, but it's like you have people that's having kids that don't care about them, or that will just do whatever, or or
just out here just recklessly having
recklessly,
kids.
right?
And then you fall in that moment of comparison.
You fall in the moment of comparison. I'm like, here we are, like we want this baby bad, but it affected the way we did life for that year.
But like again, there is such beauty that comes out from everything, and I think that's what you love about God, how he just works and how he brings out the beauty and how he put things in perspectives and make you think and reflect. Because in that moment, we always knew, we've always been prophesied, you guys will make an impact in this world. We never knew how. We've always laughed together like no other. People have always talked about, you guys are just silly and joyful and we just love your smiles. And for that, it was like, oh, okay, yeah. that's my girl.
Else.
Isn't everybody else like that? We're married.
Everybody else got smiles.
We're married.
Yeah. But for in 2020 when the pandemic hit and where everybody's sitting at home and now we're looking at each other. One, I'm not used to being at home this much.
Yeah.
Right.
But then the world's on TikTok, the world's on Instagram, and we're
Yeah.
like, let's just try doing some of these things to have some fun with each other because that's
yeah.
just our goofy selves.
Yeah.
And this thing takes off, and a brand of Everyday with H&K is created.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute, God, what are you doing? And he's like, I need you. One, I need you to get your laugh back. I need you to get your joy back because at that
And he
point,
gave it to her.
He did, didn't he?
That woman got a laugh. We love Hope's laugh. Come on. Laugh for us right now.
Yeah, because that's the end of 2019 is our final cycle. And she said, I remember her telling me she had a moment. She's laying in bed, had a moment. I'm done. I'm give up. I surrender to what you have for us, God. And it was like, all right, if you surrender, let's go. And so we just surrendered to our marriage. And it was like, this is what we're gonna do. And for me, I remember just when we first started, the name, what man is dancing with his wife?
Yeah.
And all
We
this
got a
just
lot of
negative. Well,
criticism.
she just fat and y'all just
People always got something to say.
Got something to
everybody
say.
got something to
somebody
say.
else's
And it's
life.
Wild.
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
But then it was like, then you had the folks that was like, I needed this. Especially during COVID when people were passing and was like, I just had a family member that died. I haven't laughed in forever. And I
Yeah.
just came across your videos, y'all two being silly, and it just made my world. And I thank you. And like the number of DMs and things like that. I remember one autism little boy did not speak.
Yeah.
Saw our
autism.
video
Yeah.
and began like just he wasn't making like a word, but it was just noise. He never
Wow.
made noise.
Yeah.
Saw our video and it was us with this like pot on our head banging
Yeah.
on.
His mom
and his mom
messaged
messaged us saying he just made noise for the very first time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Watching y'all's video.
I cried.
Now, you said a minute ago, or when we were talking, that you was almost about to cry. I feel it like,
I'm telling you.
I feel it welling up.
It was the message. She was
It was
like,
the message.
I haven't heard him make sounds. And like your video came on and like I'm hearing him for the like one of the first times or something like that.
Ooh.
And I was like, okay, God. Like
Yeah.
And our advice
This
is being
is different.
asked. And it's like, this is different. This is
and
kingdom.
the comments
This
kind
is-
of the negative comments
Yeah,
started
it's kinda
stopping.
just drowned
Because I
out.
was quick to like, okay, block, delete, okay,
Yeah.
whatever. But it's like you start getting this community behind you of no, we need to see more of this. Like we need to see a husband and wife duo having fun or
Right.
just
Yeah.
living life. And nothing is
spreading
wrong
joy.
with that. Spreading joy. And it's like the world has been so warped into just seeing separations and divisions that it's like now this looks odd. Like it shouldn't be that way. So
At
no,
all.
we gonna proceed.
Yes,
we gonna
indeed.
To give you
know
what you need.
and keep pushing because
Yeah.
baby, marriage is amazing.
It
It
is.
is. It may not be for
amazing.
everybody, but for us, it is amazing.
It is amazing.
is.
And I think that's the joy we found in doing all this. It's just
Yeah.
impacting lives and touching people's lives. And from that, you talk about that surrender to do that. And then just impact lives. And I think God saw that. And he saw the obedience in doing that. And it was like, all right, I need more. I need more from you.
Yeah.
There was I need more. And so in that I began to feel that pull to come out of athletics. I was like, I'm enjoying this time not working. Like this is
Yeah.
this kind of nice.
Well, you were working, but
I was
like
working,
from
but, like,
home,
working
you had
from
a little bit
home.
more
Yeah, yeah.
freedom.
and then, we do one TikTok, it blows up, we get all, and then we get brand deals, and it was like, hold on, you can make money from this?
right,
Mhm.
And
that
it
was
was
new
just
to me.
like, that was
And this
new.
amount of money, our first brand deal, huh?
Oh my gosh.
Look, they asked us for a rate. I said, well, we've never done this
We
before.
had never done it
mind you.
before.
So I'm like, oh my God. It's
Didn't
like,
have an agent or anything.
No,
No.
nothing. We had nothing. I was like, is $800 too much? Is $500 too much?
They probably thought
And
that
so,
was a low.
so look, so we put it in their court and we were like, what does your budget allow for a
What does your budget
campaign
allow
like
for?
this? Honey, they gave us 5 figures. I ran around that apartment so fast.
5 figures.
5 figures.
No, you
Not
was in there
four.
acting a fool.
5.
Plum fool.
Yeah. Like
I said, and here I was
mid-five
about to ask for
figures.
$800.
Yeah.
$800.
That was the Holy Spirit that said,
Right. Shut your mouth.
hit you
Let them
right
do the talking.
Holy
But
Spirit,
yeah. But
So
He
yeah,
saved y'all.
He saves us
Listen.
literally. And then it was the point where like now he's talking to me like, all right, now I have more for you.
Yeah.
But you had to be obedient. This
Yeah.
thing you thought you were supposed to do all your life.
Yeah.
This thing that you connected your identity. I need you all totally away from it now.
Yeah.
And
be
it
who I
was
called
like
you to be.
and be who I called you to be.
Yeah.
And I struggled with it.
I found him
so
on the
bad.
living room floor crying. one day.
Crying.
Said,
Talking about I
"Honey,
need a Gideon moment.
Yeah.
Come on, Giddy.
That brother was
this
like,
fleece to be wet
if you could
and the
imagine,
dry
like,
to be the ground to
Cadero
be
in the
dry.
floor, like sweating, dripping. Like, it was
Now,
a scene.
Lord, I need the ground to be wet and this
Like,
fleece to be
golly.
dry. Like I was
babe.
tripping. Like, and the
Yeah.
crazy thing, the same guy who gave me that Northwestern that called me 3 times.
Yeah.
Calls me. He came out of that job and he went into the NFL, but he didn't call me up. Was like, I feel like you want to get out of this thing. Like you trying to have more time with your
Man,
hands.
God used that brother.
Yeah, and like
Mm.
he was like, I got a friend that just reached out and he's looking for somebody to work from home, and this thing is paying more than what I was making
My God.
working from home. And I was like, sure, yeah, just give him like,
Yeah.
I guess so. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And so funny thing is, I knew the people I'm interviewing with because they were my person that I had to call if
Yeah.
I had an issue. So I'm like talking. It's like having conversations because it's like, oh, I know y'all. So it was like it made it, but it was like I think it was at some point in my head where I said I'm gonna do it, and God knew I had made my decision. That thing started like okay,
Yep.
boom,
Yeah.
And we at that time we were like, all right, we're gonna move. We're gonna buy a house in
Yeah.
Chicago. Like we're gonna make our roots here.
Yeah.
So in May of 2021, I got a new job. We bought a new house,
Ooh.
and then we found out we were pregnant naturally.
Come on.
Within
Golly.
3 weeks.
3
of each
weeks
other.
of each other.
I'm
Yeah.
using y'all word. God.
Yeah.
Golly. Yeah.
But and it was like for us, it was like, see what happens when you're obedient.
Obedient.
Like this is what I can do in the obedience.
Yeah.
Ooh. So kids. So isn't it crazy? Like I'm just thinking of this as in this moment of how sometimes God just requires some obedience, and He just wants to see what are you willing to do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Without losing yourself, without sacrificing morals, without sacrificing your standards. What are you willing to do? And I'm thinking about how y'all went through all that work, taking your medicine,
Yep.
laying it out on the counter,
Yep.
and he still blesses you to have a child
Yep.
naturally.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, now you could be like, well, why you have us doing all that?
Yep.
Like going through the stress. He's like, I just want to know. Like, it's just crazy how sometimes God just wants to see, what are you willing to
Right.
sacrifice?
And also, I always say this: his timing is always perfect, right?
Yeah.
Always perfect. The time when we was making $1,000, that was not the time for our baby girl to be here, and the platform was not there either. And God ultimately wants to get the glory, the praise, everything.
Back to is impacting everybody else.
Yes,
Yeah.
impacting everybody else. So if we would have had a kid, like our story would not have made it to the platform that it did make it to. And so it's kind of like his timing. And then just we have to realize too, we may want something, but when does God want our daughter Novi? When does he want her in this world? What generation does she need to be around to flourish and to be the person that he's called her to be? So it's like we have to selfishly look at ourselves, or not be selfish and be like, God, well, I want this, and that, and
When
I want it
want it.
now. Yeah. And it's like, okay, it's bigger than you, babe. Like it's not all about you.
No,
That's a
no.
beautiful
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. So and we've had the ups and downs and the different things. And the funny thing is, even that obedience didn't stop, and the request of obedience didn't stop, because in 2022, it was, I want you to move to Tulsa.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I just brought
We
this house,
just brought a
guys.
house.
Here
I
we go.
just brought this house. Our baby is now 2 months or a month, and I'm like, I want you. And it's like those are the moments that's really testing when
Like, really, God?
God just gave you something. This is
Yeah.
a God thing.
Yeah.
But now he's asking you to give this up.
Yeah.
You know,
This
that-
is good.
You know, that remind me of
What?
Isaac.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of Abraham
taking Isaac up.
up the mountains, like, yep, the Lord wants you back.
Yeah.
Like, I prayed, stayed up nights with my wife, crying and consoling her because she felt like God would never do what he promised. Yeah. And then he does it.
Yep.
And then he asked for it back.
Yeah. And if we were not obedient, we would not be sitting on this couch with y'all.
Yeah.
At all.
Obedience is a beautiful thing, man.
It is. Whether you want to do it or not.
And that obedience.
I did not want to.
Hey, but here's the thing. Obedience is not contingent upon desire.
Mm-hmm. That's so true.
I don't have to want to do it to be obedient.
Or like it.
Yeah.
I can go kicking and screaming, but I'm doing it.
But I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. That's a great story, y'all.
Yeah.
I love, and now we got little Novi.
Tip of the yeah.
Oh,
little
she's
Novi.
so sweet doing this
girl.
now.
Yeah. Auntie Ernestine taught her that.
Then taught the baby the peace sign.
Peace signs.
Yes. Yes.
I felt like I talked a lot during our story. Anything from you? Love?
Oh gosh. No. I wish I had something, but I don't, and I don't want to just fluff and fill up air.
No,
I don't.
No, I hear
have
you.
anything. You covered it very well.
No, I love our story, and I think that's the beauty too. It is full of ups and downs, but I think the overarching thing for us is the joy.
Yeah.
In our marriage and what we want to share with this world.
Yeah.
Through our brand, through what even in this. There's gonna be joy that's gonna be felt at the end of it.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful story. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Thank y'all for sharing.
Y'all
your
are
story.
already spreading joy. Like I watch their videos and I'm like laughing and carrying on.
Not carrying on.
Carrying on. she old soul. Laughing and carrying on. So this is a good segue then into, as we're talking about wins and stories and all that stuff. We've shared some downfalls, but we also shared some wins, and so. Like, I think it's a great opportunity to share just with the audience, people who are watching, just like we want to, what we talked about is Wednesdays, right? Mm-hmm. We want to be able to share people's wins if they have stories or if they have, maybe some struggles or even have questions of, just how we are just seeking advice on just some scenarios, to say that word, that they're going through. Or, again, if they just want to just like, hey, I had a win last week. This happened. Like, we want to be able to share that with people if they want it, but we want to give people the opportunity to share that with us. Yeah. So I was kicking it to you, and then I took it back. But if that is you, if you're watching and you want to share your win with us, or with our audience, or you have questions or struggles, anything, like nothing is off the table. Yeah. Like, we want you to be able to share that with us and have an opportunity to do that. So you can email that to info@themarriagealtaer.us. info@themarriagealtaer, ALTAER.us. And like, I think this is not just we say it and we're going to keep saying it. What is it? It's not just a podcast.
Come on.
It's a community.
Es un comunidad.
Oh! Marriage Altaer Espanol.
Marriage Altaer Espanol.
Yes. But we just want to thank everybody so much for watching. We love you guys so much.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel or anywhere where you listen to podcasts.
Yes.
Subscribe, share.
Share.
Other people out there need to hear what we've talked about, so share.
True statement.
Invite your friends. And guys, we'll see them next week.
At the altar!
Hey! Love you guys.
Meet me at the altar.